From Boston and beyond. Heat981fm.com and iHeartStation.
Tonight's episode of Conversations with Coach La is brought to you by Virtual Services by Shamina Austin. Do you need to delegate some tasks, or are you looking to declutter a space? Well, assign it to her. Introducing Virtual Services by Shamina Austin. She's currently accepting new clients and offers a variety of back office services depending on your needs. Contact Shamina at 857-273-1528, 857-273-1528, or email shaminaaustin@gmail.com for more information.
Conversations with Coach La.
Coach La, your favorite neighborhood therapist, having real hard convos, contrasting pessimists. Generational trauma explored, broach delicate, getting to the root of the pain, healing impediments. Every week signs copay free lessons. Bet on self, trust the process, no questions. Feel your feels, journey to be healed, no stressing. Conversations with Coach La's now in session.
From Boston and beyond. Heat981fm.com and iHeartStation.
Nancia, Smokehouse, it's the urban heat. Shout out to Coach La.
Coach LA, it's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the urban heat, just call it. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. Coach La 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 La. If you got something on your mind, you can call in, you can hit a line. She the realest, ooh, she the realest. You can tap in, loud, always get a business to empower you so that you can do every and anything that you want to. Kicking it with Coach LA, it's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the urban heat, just call it. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. Coach La 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 La.
Hey. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Coach La La La, your favorite around the way therapist. You're tuned in to the Urban Heat, 98.1 FM, Boston's only Black-owned radio station on the iHeart Radio platform. I want to give a quick shout out to everyone tuned in from Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and shout out to my Instagram babies. I love y'all. I see you, Paula, PJ. I see you, Parties from Up Above. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. So, your favorite around the way therapist has been a busy bee. Let me tell you. I've been here, I've been there, I've been everywhere. But let me tell you what I did this weekend. I did my very first 5K. Shout out to the Mattapan Unity 5K Fete. We did a 5K for the first time in Mattapan, Massachusetts, which is my neighborhood. And it was definitely an experience. I did go around twice. There is video footage that is quite hilarious because I usually do about 2 miles on the treadmill. 3.1 I've never done, and I misunderstood. I was only supposed to do 1.5 miles as a walker. Well, Coach didn't know that. So Coach did 3.1 miles, which I should have ran. And I'm not at the point of running, but I did finish. Shout out to my son, Shine, Mr. Rashad. He was holding my hand and making sure I got through that last little lap there because it got definitely a little tough getting around. Shout out to Team Bet on Self, Miss Kim, Saida, my sister Shamina. I appreciate y'all for being down to do my shenanigans because nobody had done a 5K before. So there was a lot of first timers. So I'm really excited about the next one, which I will be doing my next 5K. I know, right? I didn't get enough. My next 5K will be on September 20th. UMass Boston alumni is doing a 5K. So I'm going to try it again And this time I hope to jog a little bit, and get around a little bit faster. So not only did I do that, I also did a poetry slam, underground poetry slam for Influence of Life. Also was with Chief the Poet. There's too many poets to name, but let me just tell you, it was a powerful, powerful poetry slam. I was honored to be a judge. So that was super, super dope that I got a chance to do that. And I look forward to being a judge in the near future. But the poets were amazing. Black Shock were one. They actually were slamming for money. So poetry slams a competition. So they all sort of go up against each other with the most profound poems that you could ever want to hear. So it was pretty, pretty dope. So yeah, there was a lot of great things. And shout out to my Urban Heat family. We not only, we got so many great events that happened, but we did our annual Hampton Beach takeover, which was extreme success. I saw the video footage. I didn't get a chance to go this year because I did the 5K and I was in Connecticut at the Poetry Slam. But shout out to everybody on the team that made that happen. I've heard nothing but great things. I'll make sure I'm back on the beach next year. And next up, we got Sail with Soul. Actually, before that, we got the Caribbean Carnival, which we'll also be a part of. So shout out to the Urban Heat family. We are definitely outside. But I know y'all didn't come here to just get these updates about what I've been up to and how I've been outside. So we are talking about I would say a topic that's dear to my heart, grief. How many of y'all know about grief out there? Grief. But we're not going to just talk about grief in the sense of loss. We're going to also talk about grace and growth. And you know that this is season 8. And this is part of my 3-part series. So we're talking about the power of the pivot. And tonight's guest is she is the epitome of the power of the pivot. So I'm excited to have her be on the show because we met at the women's conference that we had here at the radio station. And she just had a spirit and she has a testimony and a story that you guys are going to hear about. But tonight's guest is a dedicated mother of 7. That's right. I said 7 beautiful children. She's a seasoned professional in behavioral health. She also has held several influential roles as a family partner, a field training specialist, and she currently works with interdisciplinary teams and providers of children in the Children Community Support Collaborative. There's too many acronyms. I'll tell you that every organization she went got like 4 or 5 acronyms with it. But this program is affiliated with the Home for Little Wanderers. Shout out to the Home. They do great work in the community and the Department of Mental Health. She is a passionate advocate for systemic change, and she serves on the Client Advisory Board in the Child and Family Law Division. Again, another long acronym. She's also part of the Committee for Public Counsel Services, and she's deeply committed to advocating for victims and survivors of domestic violence through her work with the Together Rising Above Coercion and the Massachusetts Family Advocacy Coalition. She has professional expertise in advocacy work, and her personal journey reflects her unwavering dedication to improving the lives of families and building stronger and healthier communities. So without further ado, I want to invite and introduce you to Miss Tia Washington.
Thanks so much.
Hey, girl.
Thank you so
How
much
you
for
doing?
having me. Thank you.
I'm excited to have you on the show. As you know, season 8 is all about the power of the pivot.
Yes.
We're rising, we're reclaiming, and we're reinventing ourselves in this particular series. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about bet on self energy in a couple of different ways. You know, how can we self-proclaim that and own our identities, own our purpose, and just really feel comfortable in our own skin, which I think really that's what healing is really about, right? When you're healed, you really understand who you are and how the things that have happened, that human experience, how that shapes you, how they can help you grow. And you're no longer your circumstances. Where you are in this current moment is not your final destination. Yes. So tell us, beyond your bio, right? Who is Tia Washington?
Well, besides my bio, of course, being a mom is always at the center of everything that I do. So for me, it's how do I show up in my children's life, because I'm not only taking care of myself and growing for myself, I'm also leading by example with my children, and wanting for them to have a better life, like most parents do.
Mhm.
They want for their children to have a better quality of life than they did growing up. So for me, my biggest focus is my children. And then my second biggest passion is community work. And again, that's a part of my bio, but for me, that is, every day that I wake up, I'm thinking about what can I do to brighten someone else's life today? Like, what can I do? Because everybody needs that in their
Yes,
life. So
I agree.
yeah, sometimes you don't know what people are going through, and just having a conversation with someone can change everything for them in that moment.
Well, I mean,
So,
this is
yeah.
Conversations with Coach La, so we
Yes.
definitely agree.
Yeah.
It's all about the conversation. Often is what the spark and the trigger is to growth and change
Mhm.
is connected to talking things out.
Yes.
And my new thing, walking things out. So as we think about tonight, right? How grief can both break us, grow us, and teach us grace.
Yes.
I had looked up, grace is just self-compassion in a lot of ways, and extending compassion to other people. It's empathy, right? It's that
Yes.
ability to see that even in people's worst behavior, we're all really just trying to navigate the complexities of life.
Yes.
And how do you think grief for you, right? How has that taught you? What's one thing it's taught you about yourself that you wouldn't have thought if that situation hadn't occurred?
Yes. So I feel like going through grief definitely teaches you a lot about yourself, because a part of going through grief is you need to heal from whatever that trauma was that you experienced. So when you're on your healing journey and you're doing that work, because healing is not rainbows and sunshine, you do end up learning more about yourself, what makes you tick, what makes you special. And I feel like I have learned more about myself and what makes me special, and not only for myself, but how do I show up for others in that as well. So yes, I can now. I recognize that I'm more resilient, and so it's like, okay, well, how do I use that and turn my pain into purpose in terms of helping other people? So yeah,
it's interesting because nearly 57% of Americans have faced some kind of major loss, right, in the past 3 years, right? Yet 69% feel pressured to move on before they're ready to do so. When I say that, like, what comes up for you? Because I know for me, that was like, I could relate.
Yes, definitely. I feel like, well, first of all, there's a pressure from society to just move on. When you experience something, it's not necessarily validated, because we're expected in society to just keep going. And we don't really have that time to just be able to take for ourselves, to refuel ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to give ourselves some grace on the days that we're having, a hard day. Healing is not linear. So even if you've made progress, that doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to have a bad day. So, everyone has a bad day, but giving yourself grace and knowing that, just because you have been through something, that does not define you as a person.
Right.
And being able to see that, you are not the sum of your experiences, but you can grow from those experiences. And that's how you evolve, is being able to recognize that. And I feel like that's what helps you to grow into the individual you are destined to be, is being able to look into yourself and see like where you've come from and where you're going.
I think, again, if it were that simple, right, a lot of people would probably just walk into it with ease, but most people often are struggling with this whole concept of growing, right? Especially when you think about growth is coming from loss. So like, often the loss of a relationship helps you find your identity or figure out what you liked or what you wanted in life. A loved one might pass away, and that makes you appreciate, life more, and memories, and doing things that, going on vacations, just maybe things that you took for granted because of. So often it's met with, did I have to learn that lesson from that loss, right? And I think it's challenging at times to sort of deal with the complexities of that, right? Like
Mhm.
to grow, I have to lose.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, well, I feel like you lose some parts, but you gain clarity, and you gain so much from, like you said, from loss, and you gain a different perspective on things. You gain more of a direction when you have loss. Sometimes it gives you more purpose, more meaning in your life, and it forces you to, come out of your comfort zone and do things that you wouldn't normally do. So, like when you are, making new friendships and meeting friends, and when you go through grief and you go through loss, sometimes we tend to isolate ourselves going through that, but we need human contact in order to like comfort us and to help us to like feel like we can continue to push forward. So a lot of times we might lose something, but we also gain at the same time. And so like being grateful for those moments of growth and recognizing that it's not just loss.
And I think we share that in common. I think, one of the reasons why I do this show, right, is a way for me to navigate my grief, right? So my father's passing 7 years ago, and I did radio a long time ago. And I remember him saying, you should get back into radio. For whatever reason, now I'm listening, right? Hi, Dad. I know you're watching me. And like, yes, finally you listen. You have to wait for me to leave for you to listen anyway. But this idea of moving on, right, versus moving forward. And I think often for me, that means not allowing yourself to actually experience the feelings and to name the emotions, right? When you just are told move on, people don't necessarily realize that grief isn't linear, right? You don't just sort of go 1, 2, 3, 4 and go through all the stages of grief.
Yeah.
You kind of circulate through it. You oscillate through it, right? Like you might be in a place of acceptance and then see a picture or be reminded of something, or if it's a ex, they end up calling you and you were good, and now all of a sudden they call you and you hear their voice, and your mood, it puts you back into the space you just left. So it doesn't just have this straight line. So when you think about moving on and giving people space to like feel how they feel, like when you think about the work that you do, how do you make space for not just saying, okay, you know what, you just need to grow. You need to grow through this. You need to, just think about all of the good that's coming out of this. Like, everybody ain't there right away. Some people is angry, mad, bitter, and they're not ready. They're not ready to be in this place that we are, which is the radical acceptance and, making perspective taking and ready to give grace. No, they're mad. They want their get back. So how did you get to where you are? Because I know I didn't just get to, okay, I'm just green and growing and this is all positive and thank you for this lesson. It didn't start there. So what about you? What's your take on that?
Well, one of the biggest things in behavioral health that we say is we have to meet the person where they are at, so it's like we can't push a person to be ready before they're ready. I feel like you do more damage than good when you do that. You could damage the professional, like relationship you have with this person if you push them sooner than they're ready to be pushed. So I feel like first starting where the person is at and like validating their feelings, like listening to them, acknowledging that, and talking through that with them. For me, like professionally, the way that I am most effective as a professional is being transparent and sharing with purpose and intent. Because I feel like once you do that, you get past the surface level with people and they can be real with you and you can do the real work. Because initially everything is very surface level. You ask someone on the street, how are you doing today? Even if they had the most horrible day, they're going to say, I'm okay. Even if they're not okay, because that's the societal norm for you to just say you're okay when you're not. So you're not able to get to what the root of the problem is with that person because they're very surface level with you. So for me, I feel like the way that I'm most effective I would say not just only professionally, but also personally, because when I show up in my friends' lives and my family's lives, and I'm that ear and I'm their person, and sometimes they just need to vent. They just need the space to not feel judged, to not feel shamed or blamed for what they're experiencing. Even if they've called you 10 times in a row about the same exact problem, as long as you give them that space and you allow them to feel seen and feel heard and validated, they will continue to open up to you. And for you, you can be that safe space for them. And sometimes some people, they just need that. You just need to be able to vent and let it out so that they can process like what's actually going on in their lives. And then you have to do that in order to plan. How do I address this? You can't address it without first identifying what the problem is. So once you're able to identify that, then you're able to say, okay, you know what? And even say like, you know, today was a really bad day, and being able to identify that, you know, there was a trigger. Something did happen, like being able to sit with yourself and like process with yourself, because you are you know yourself better than anyone else does. So like being able to learn yourself so that you can respond to what's happening in your life in order to support yourself the best.
And she's talking good stuff, y'all. This is what it's all about, right? Like taking these nuggets and taking these different things to build your capacity to be able to navigate the hard stuff. I think it's not something that just, again, is linear or is going to happen overnight, which brings me to what does therapy mean to you, right? And I think, you know, when we think about therapy, you sort of gave a lot of high level stuff, right? Like meeting people where they are, being able to provide a safe space by letting people kind of process their feelings and emotions and not rushing them through those feelings and emotions, even if they're like ruminating on the same thing 100 times. I deal with that all the time. Fine. I won't say deal, but you know, I experience that with clients often. There are clients that they talk about the same thing every time. And it's like, well, what do you need to be able to move forward, right? Like, what do you need to be able to see this from a different perspective? Is there anything else that could possibly be going on here? So that's kind of what we want to talk about now. How do you grow in the midst of pain?
That's a big one.
Yeah, because ideally, right, it doesn't just go away.
No.
And it doesn't go away right away. Sometimes even after the scar is healed, your body, as they've said in multiple spaces, your body knows the score.
Keeps
right?
The score,
It remembers. So with 72% of adults already saying they've gone through something, some kind of major life crisis. And this is an ongoing thing. This is not something that is just a Lakeisha thing or a Coach Law thing or just a Tia thing. Like life is lifing on all of us. Even the most well put together, most mentally sound person who's navigating things well and showing up well and, you know, expressing their feelings has things going on in their life that you may or may not know about.
Yes.
So as you think about your own moments, right? Talk to us about the moments that you really had to tap into your own strength or strengths were hidden and then they got revealed because of having to grieve something that you didn't expect was going to be ending in your life.
Yes. I feel like, you know, going inward, I feel like we talk about that a lot, but really going inward during those moments. Because when you are experiencing something that can be so devastating and so traumatic in your life, like you said, your body keeps the score. And so subconsciously, sometimes we're unaware of how deep that affects us and how it shows up in every level, like every aspect of our lives. Like a lot of time, trauma is, I call it multifaceted when we experience trauma.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. So it impacts everything.
It is layered and layered. It's almost like I used to tell one of my clients, well, a couple of them, about being like an onion. Right. And so if you, each layer you peel back, you know, you're releasing and the tears and everything start coming out, like, you know, or even being the example of the soda bottle being shaken up. And then when you take the cap off, it's like explosion. So trauma often can feel like that, like you're just a ticking time bomb. Yeah.
And so giving yourself grace, like understanding yourself. I feel like also psychoeducation is important, like so you can understand like trauma, what it looks like, because sometimes you don't even know that you're having a trauma response your body can be physically reacting and you have no idea. I just have an upset stomach. I can't eat. And you don't understand. It's
Talk
related to
about it.
trauma.
Talk
Yeah,
about it.
you have insomnia. You can't sleep. Things like that. You have brain fog. There's so many, physiological responses that we have to trauma, as well as emotional and mental responses that we have. So I feel like when you understand it more, it helps you to give yourself more grace and understand what you're going through, so that you can either seek out help from outside sources and or yourself being able to help you get through those moments when you're experiencing them. Because you're only there by yourself. You don't always have you don't have a therapist with you on your hip when you're experiencing these things. So if you're in the grocery store and you have there's a trigger and you have a trauma response, how do you support yourself in that moment to regulate yourself and keep yourself grounded?
That's so true. Once again, guys, you guys are tuned into Conversations with Coach La La La, your favorite around the way therapist. You're tuned into Urban Heat 98.1 FM. We're on iHeartRadio. You guys make sure you go follow us on iHeart and bookmark us. Make sure that you know how to, get us on all platforms and everywhere. But for those of you that like social media, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram, and you can watch us live if you want to see the beautiful Tia, who's sitting here in the studio with me. But so I think that often people don't realize that trauma is something that you get to define. I know we kind of throw these buzzwords around, but we don't all experience everything the same. Like, there is a spectrum. There's some people that can go through certain things and not have a traumatic response, right? So I think sometimes our upbringing, our coping strategies, lived behavior, all sort of plays into how resilient you can be when something major happens in your life, especially with 70% of adults reporting that they've had at least one traumatic event. That could be a car accident. It doesn't always have to be that there's a loss of a family member. It could be that you got laid off from work, a breakup, a divorce, empty nesting, all your kids move out. All of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, I don't have anyone to take care of anymore. And you're just overwhelmed. You don't know what to do with yourself. So it can show up in a lot of different ways. And I love that you talked about somatic situations, because often we don't realize that a lot of these things show up in your body. Headaches, blurred vision, stomach aches, pain, aches and pains, sleeping problems, which show up a lot of time in your sleep. You're tossing and turning. You can't seem to get any kind of real good rest. Often all of that can be tied to it. Even stress can be traumatic. Like, you could have a job that you're constantly going to where you're constantly in hyper arousal, right? Where you're constantly on the defense. You're always ready for the next shoe to drop. You're overworked, underpaid. All of these things can feel like a traumatic experience, but often we're kind of told just hang in there. Life is life, and you just push through. And I think this is where therapy becomes really important. It's just having a release valve, a place where you can kind of dump it and get through it and say, you know what, things are hard. This hasn't been easy. I'm doing a great job getting through it, but there's moments that, I really just don't want to do this. And I don't want to be bothered. I wish I could just crawl underneath the covers and put my head underneath there and not see the light of day for a little bit. So I really think that these are some good things for people to think about. So here's a question for you.
Yes.
What is one skill or strength or insight that you've gained through your grief and your trauma?
Oh, I've gained a lot. I can say I've gained a lot. I can say that I am not the same woman that I was prior to going through the traumatic experiences that I've gone through. And I would say more notably within the last 8 years of experiencing a loss of self after going through, loss and grief and a traumatic experience with domestic violence. And so for me, I feel like the biggest thing that I have taken away from that is just how I feel like I'm amazing. Like, I feel like I'm an amazing individual. Like, how I show up for other people, how I show up for the community. I have like a lot of great qualities, and just like my kind heart, how compassionate, how empathetic I am with people. So I feel like, if anything, what it has taught me is taught me more about myself and how to own that. And it's not only own it, but take it and harness that.
Yes.
And to then apply it to helping my community and helping like make change on a macro level. Like, I know that the work that I'm doing is good work, and I'm helping so many people. So for me, it's like really turning my pain into purpose.
You better
has
talk
been
about
the biggest thing that I have learned and experienced from like the trauma. And I would have never thought that. Like, when you go through grief, you go through loss, you go through traumatic experience, and you don't think of it as a positive.
No,
like, people don't think of it as
don't.
It can be a positive experience. But if you think of it, we all have a purpose. We all have a destiny in life. And sometimes we have to go through the weirdest channels in order to learn what that purpose is.
Ain't that the truth? That no lies detected.
Yeah.
Let's give a quick shout out to Mrs. Janetta Cook. She says she's your sister.
Oh, yes.
She said, my sister is a warrior. Thank you for tuning in.
Oh, thanks
We
so
appreciate
much.
you being here and being supportive and yeah. I think most of us don't think about pain turning into a purpose, but there's lots of research that talks about the way to handle grief is to give it meaning.
Yes.
When you're doing grief work with people, memory books, finding a cause. That's why you see a lot of foundations and scholarship funds and walks done in people's honor and things like that, is to give it purpose. So it's not just a loss of life, but a legacy.
Yes.
You know, you get to learn about how the person contributed to the world in that way. But often we don't think about that's the same thing we need to do while we're living. So I love that you're thinking about how do you take what you've gone through and give it purpose.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I used to always ask that question of myself, and I wonder if you can resonate with this. Why me?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Does that ring?
Yes.
Does that hit?
Yes.
I mean, that hits
Big
differently
time.
now that I'm on the other side of it, right? But I used to be like, why me?
Yeah.
Like, is there really a God? And if so, where is he? Right? Like, why am I going through this? I did it. I didn't deserve this, right?
Yeah.
And I know for a lot of people out there, if you relate and you can understand, give me a virtual high five, get in the chat. But if you've ever said, why me? And you felt like you deserved more, there's something I've come to understand. This is it's a gut punch, but why not you? And why do you think that you deserve not to go through anything? Like, we often think, if I'm a good person and I do everything good, then all good will come my way. But I think that's a misconception, right? Because things that are not great happen to good people all the time.
Yep.
And none of us are exempt. Like things like cancer, diabetes, like it doesn't have an assignment per se. It doesn't discriminate, as they say. So why do we think that pain and struggle, heartbreak is going to discriminate, and we somehow get saved from ever experiencing grief? So I think we haven't done a good job as human beings of really talking about this enough so that we're better prepared, right? And we can understand that disappointments happen and things don't always go your way. What do you think about that?
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. What do they say? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
And I hate, I
hate when people say that. I do. And for me, it's like, people are quick to say that. But when you think about it, and you're supposed to learn through life. You can't, you can't grow without learning, right? If you're stagnant and you're in the same position and you haven't learned from your experiences, then you failed the grade, right? you have to learn those lessons,
you can't
right?
move
You have to
on
learn
to the next level until you learn, which, makes me think about this, right? You keep going through the same things until you learn.
Yes.
And I've had mixed emotions about that. But I think there's a level of truth to you put yourself in similar circumstances. But then I feel like sometimes we don't put ourselves in these circumstances. Things are happening around us or through us, not necessarily any fault of your own. But now you have a choice of how you respond to it.
Yeah.
But it's
'cause you
not
don't
necessarily your fault.
Yeah, and you don't know what you don't know
Right.
until you go through it. So
Right.
you have to go through something in order to grow through it.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's like you don't.
But let's like heartbreak, right? Like, so you get your heart broken. For some people, like, I'm never doing this love thing again, even though that never really works, right? Because it'll just come when you least expect it.
Yeah.
You're like, how did you get here? You're not supposed to be here. Like, you're like, wait a minute, you wasn't supposed to be here.
Yeah.
So one of the other things that came up, right, is this idea of community care versus self-care.
Yeah.
How do you define it? And let's sort of like go a little back and forth on how do you define community care?
Community care
Versus self-care.
Yeah. Well, I would say how you contribute to your community. So whether that's you doing things at your school, at the community center, volunteering, like how do you show up in your community? Even if it's helping a neighbor, that is community. Like we are supposed to be a village, right?
Right.
So helping your neighbor, making a meal for someone, because you know that they're sick or they're recovering or something, like that's community care. So when you are thinking about the people in your community and how you can help them and support them, and even just giving information. Because a lot of times it's just like a lack of resources. People don't have access to things because they don't know that they're out there. They're available.
Agreed.
So a lot of times just sharing information, that's showing care to your community, because you can be at the doctor's office and strike up a conversation with someone and give them information about finding a second opinion, and that could change their life, or a food bank, or something like that, community service center. So like when you're talking and engaging with the community and doing something that can help the community, then I feel like that's showing community care.
Okay. So that's externalizing it, like, but when you think about self-care, right? How do you define that? Self-care
is how you take care of yourself and show up for yourself. How do you pour into you? Because we always talk about the cups and how we're pouring. We can't pour from an empty glass.
You're so right. Okay.
So you have to fill yourself up in order to give out to other people. So you have to start with self first. Bet on self. Start with self first. Yes.
I love both. Now I'm going to look at and sort of bring these together, because I think when you think about the quadrants of self-care, right, part of it is social, right?
Absolutely.
And being able to connect with community and knowing your purpose. So everything, people don't realize serving is directly connected to your quality of life.
Yes.
Not to the point that you're giving from an empty cup or you're giving from what you don't have. But like you said, just simply sharing a resource, not being a gatekeeper. A smile, people. Just simply acts of kindness, smiling at someone and saying good morning, right? And creating space for livelihood and just, good energy, right? It doesn't have to be a heavy lift. Self-care, often people think when I say bet on self, it's about being selfish. But it's really the better that you take care of you, the better community member you will be.
Yes.
The more you know thyself, the better you can engage in your different relationships and understand your role, understand your strengths, understand your triggers, understand how to show up and how to have these difficult conversations. So betting on self is you can't do anything. Everything reflects back to self. So if I bet on me and I'm doing right by me, I have more to give to bet on other people. If I believe in me, I can believe in you. And it becomes this very, this energy exchange, right? Like reciprocating energy. You see me doing it, then you get the courage to do it. And then I can cheer you on because I'm not in this lack space. I'm not in this crab in the barrel space. I can go, yes, sis, I see you.
Yes.
You see me. And it's like iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
I really, really hope for that for my community. Even with the name of my company, resiliency and optimism changes lives. Some people say, oh my God, your company name is so long. But it's a mantra. If enough people are saying it, resiliency and optimism changes lives. You don't even realize I just gave you a mantra.
Yes.
I just literally gave some antibiotics to my community by you just saying my business name to multiple different people.
Yes.
Right. And I truly believe that resiliency and optimism changes lives.
Absolutely.
Those two things are needed.
Yes.
That's what helps you build your capacity. Right. So strong social connections are known to improve positive recovery outcomes by 50% after loss.
Wow.
We need community care, right? But you also need to know self to know that you need community.
Yes. Yep.
Did y'all see that?
Yep.
Did y'all peep that? You need to know yourself to know that you need community, because often what we do is we want to isolate. Depression and anxiety comes, we say we don't need nobody.
Yeah.
Right? We also don't want to hear correction. We don't really want to be held accountable. We don't want to understand the role we may have played, or the role that we are playing in staying in our mess, in our stress, in our depression. Right? We're not ready to hear that. So sometimes we want to stay stuck, and we want to stay angry. We want to stay in a funk, right? You got to also be like, you know what? This don't feel good.
Yeah.
But I have been told by my clients sometimes that actually does feel better to sit in that space. And I think that's where the moving on is not needed. You need to kind of sit in it with them for a little bit.
Yeah.
You need to give them some space to sit there for a little bit. So what I often say is, well, how long do you want to stay here? That's what I ask my clients. I said, well, how long would you like to stay here? If you could have your way and you could wake up tomorrow and it was a miracle to happen, what would be different about you? What would be different about this situation? How long would you stay if you knew that you could move forward?
Yeah.
What would you say then? You'd be surprised. Not everybody says they want to be over it tomorrow. I've had people tell me 30 days, 6 months, a year. I said, okay, so you want to be here for a year?
Yeah, it feels that heavy.
Why a year? Right?
Yeah.
And when they start thinking about it, they don't always have an answer for it.
Yeah.
So here's another question for you. Who in your life makes you feel seen and safe?
So I would say I have a wonderful network of people. So between people that I work with, so coworkers, I have friends, family, and I feel like part of my journey and my healing journey has been reconnecting with people, rebuilding, and establishing new connections as well. Because part of domestic violence is a lot of isolation. They isolate you from the world, from your friends, from your family. So for me, it was literally, I had to build my own village. Single mom of 7. So I had to build my own village I don't have much help. But it was very scary, reaching out. And it's like, it's hard making friends, even as an adult. It's hard making friends. So it's like, and a lot of that is from our own baggage, and, whether we've had, trauma or just the situations we've been in, it's hard to trust. And being transparent and being vulnerable, whenever you're building new connections, there's a piece of you that's vulnerable in that moment. So it's like, it's really hard for you to take that first step. So I feel like you have to kind of challenge yourself and push yourself a bit to get out there and make those new connections, and sometimes in environments that you wouldn't necessarily consider, because it's like, if you don't have a big family, if you don't have a lot of friends, you have to go out and make those connections. So I feel like as long as you can find people who can hear you without judging, and also, like you said, when you're betting on yourself and you're starting from self, when you're showing up for your friends like that, then they mirror that same type of behavior. They can show it for you in those moments in the same way. So I feel like when you're able to do that, that strengthens your connections with people, that helps you to build more connections with people. But it's just being brave enough and, to have that courage to step out there and put yourself out there. And, but like being transparent with people that you feel like like you said, that energy, you get that energy from them, that they are receptive, that they are supportive, validating. So yeah, I feel like the more you know about yourself and what you need from that person will help you determine whether or not that's a good fit for you, and how do you show up for that person as well. So, and treat everyone how you want to be treated. I know you mentioned that earlier. Like, I feel like if we were all kind to one another, because we might look at that person like, well, I wouldn't react to that or in that same way, but we're not everyone else. Like, we have to stop thinking that everyone is going to treat us how we treat them. And we have to look at it from a different perspective and say, okay, but if that was me and I was in that person's shoes, how would I want to be treated? And look at it from that point.
I'm glad you said that, because I think often if we do it from the lens that if I do this, if I show up like this, then everybody's going to show up for me that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can set ourselves up for disappointment for a couple of things. Not everybody's in the same space, has the same capacity, has the same backgrounds. So you have to really think about, are you doing it because you have the capacity to do so? Mm-hmm. Are you doing it because it's coming from a genuine place? Are you doing it because you want to hold that person with that same like sort of obligation? Mm-hmm. I think when you do it because it feels good to you and that's how you serve, you realize that you may not get it back from the person that you gave it to. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'm going to say that again. Yeah. You may not get it back from the person that you gave it to. It may come from someplace else. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think we get so wrapped up in sometimes it being reciprocated. If I treat you this way, you're going to treat me that way. Doesn't always work like that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that act of kindness, you might not ever see that person again. Yeah. So they can't give it back to you anyway because they're not in your circumference. They're not in your circle. But you might get blessed from somewhere else that you least expected, but you don't even see that that's because of everything else you're doing, because you're looking for it from a particular person. I think that out of my grief and my loss, that was one of my biggest lessons, is that I had so many other people that were pouring into me, but I often missed it because I was looking for it to come from that one vessel or that one space and that one place. And it wasn't coming from that place. So I was disappointed that I was missing just how much love that was in me and around me, because I wanted to get that particular love or that particular treatment from that person that I thought I gave it to. So they should give it back. But I'm realizing that some things are for a season. Reason,
a reason or a season,
or a lifetime.
Or a lifetime.
And sometimes I'm the reason or the season for someone else's life, but I'm not supposed to be there for a lifetime. And I think that's been a big lesson from my grief.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. So I can sit with it a little bit better. I'm like, well, maybe this was just a lesson, Lakeisha. Yeah. AKA Coach La La La. Maybe you're just supposed to sit with this for a second and see what you're taking away from this. Yeah. Maybe it's not a loss because it's showing you something about you. It's a reflection. It's a mirror. And it made you grow. If you never came across this situation, person, place, or thing, you would have never known that was an area you needed to grow in.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you learn from every person you interact with. So,
everything. Yeah. And the growth mindset tells you that everything is teaching you something. Every experience, even the worst ones, are teaching you something. Yeah. Sometimes it's just teaching you that you are resilient. Yeah. And that you're not going to fall apart, and that you don't need to be saved, that you can save yourself. Or that you do have strong spirituality. You maybe you didn't know that.
Yeah. Life is the best teacher, for better or worse.
really is. And I said this earlier, right? Grief is very common, but it's often misunderstood. And there's research to back up Coach La La La. This is not just my stuff. I'm regurgitating things that you can go research on your own. But if you haven't experienced something yet, you probably will. Yeah. Experience something in your lifetime. And I like to invite people not to pressure people to move on before they're ready, but I also invite people to not stay there longer than you need to. So it's a double whammy in that way. So we've talked a little bit about the context of grief, and let's explore grace a little bit more. So practicing self-compassion reduces the risk of prolonged grief disorder. When I say self-compassion, what do you think about?
Self-compassion is being able to, give yourself some grace on your hardest days, and to understand, like, when you're going through things that you're, like what's happening for you. And just to be kind to yourself in those moments, like to give yourself extra love, and to understand, like, you're going through something right now, you're experiencing something right now, and just giving yourself that compassion that you need, the kindness that you need, that same thing that you would need from someone else. Like, that's what you need for yourself. And you can give that to yourself. Like, you know what, I'm having a really hard day today. Yes. And like, I just need to take it easy. I need to do some self-care today. I'm this is coming up on the year anniversary of the passing of a loved one. And my body is feeling all these different types of things, like right now, and being able to recognize that maybe that's why knowing about trauma and knowing that your body keeps a score is important, because during like the holiday season and you're struggling and, you know, you've lost someone in the past and you not be able to connect those dots to each other. But like knowing and understanding how trauma works, you're like, oh my gosh, it's Christmas. I've lost someone. And that's maybe why I'm going through this. So I need to give myself some extra love right now.
You
some
better
extra
talk
TLC.
about it, sis.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And sometimes that looks like just saying, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. It's okay that you're having a tough moment, not a tough day. It's okay that I'm having a tough moment. It's okay that I am not in the best space at this current moment.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean you're having a bad day, a bad month, bad week, or a bad year.
Mm-hmm.
But giving yourself permission to pause
Mm-hmm.
and go, wow, I miss my dad today.
Yeah.
You know, and that song really just made me think about him, and you shed your tear,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you think about something else that he really, you know, did that put a smile on your face. Or maybe you say, you know what, I need to go take a walk. But I love that you're talking about giving yourself extra love, because here's the thought. Are you being your own best friend? Right?
That part.
If I treated myself the way I treated my closest friend when they were hurting,
Mm-hmm.
what would I do differently right now?
Yeah.
Did y'all hear that?
Yep.
Because often we know how to treat other people.
Mm-hmm.
We know exactly what to say, what to do. And if this doesn't resonate with you, it's okay. But for a lot of people, we know what to do and how to take care of other people.
Mm-hmm.
We don't apply that same stuff to ourselves.
Yeah.
We'll talk to ourselves all kind of way crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Behind closed doors, you calling yourself all kinds of bad names and how crazy, stupid you are, and all these things that you would never say to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
You would not do that. So how can you start to be kinder to yourself?
Yeah.
And that's also part of betting on self, is to be able to say, you know what? I'm going through some tough stuff right now. I'm having a moment. Girl, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You are all right. It's okay to not be okay today, because yesterday you were okay.
Yep.
Today you're not okay. So it's all right. What do you need?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
say that again.
I
What
say
do
that
you-
all the
what
time
do
to
you
myself. What
need?
do you need?
What
Yes.
do you need in this moment? How do you
Mhm.
need to take care of yourself? So that takes me to talking a little bit about what I want to kind of segue into, because I told you this hour goes by fast. We go by quick, fast. So let's go ahead and get into this bet on self, right? You know, what does it mean to bet on self, right?
Mhm.
It's those moments in your life where you say, if not now, then when?
Yeah.
If not me, then who? Yes, I may have seen this. Yes, I may have gone through this, but you know what? It's up to me, right? It's not about my upbringing, about my parents or my ex-husband, my current husband, my kids, but what do I need for me to be good, right? So talk to me about your bet on self moments.
Mhm.
Talk to me about the moments where you decided to take control over your narrative.
Yeah. Oh, when you're facing your fears, I feel like things that I was nervous to do, nervous to take those first steps, but pushing myself, because growing and healing, I've been able to learn that I can do it. I can do it. And I have the strength, I have the courage, I have the tenacity. Like, I know that I can do this. So those moments, and they're scary initially, but really like pushing yourself and being your own cheerleader in those moments and saying like, I can make it through this. I know I can do it. Look at how far I've come already to this point. And especially when you feel like you've been through the worst, like you don't want to say that, you don't want to call anything, but when you feel like you've been through the worst, you're like, what else can happen? What else can happen at this point? I've made it this far.
The shoe has dropped. The ceiling has fell.
Yep.
The floor has dropped.
Yeah.
Everything that you can think of makes me think about that movie Straws. Like, I feel like I'm at my last straw. I'm at my wit's end. And I had saw this video with Will Smith, and he talked about, people always talk about rock bottom, but he talked about getting to a cliff.
Yes.
Right? Like, you've gotten so high, so far up, and you've achieved everything you wanted to achieve. And this is different for everybody. And you realize none of that stuff is making you happy.
No.
right? None of it is doing what you thought it would do. And this happens a lot when people get married. If I only get married and I have kids, I'll be happy. If I lose this 50 pounds, I'd be happy. If I just found me a man, I'd be happy. If I found me a woman, I'd be happy. If I had kids, I'd be happy. If I get this house, if I get this job, if I make this amount of money, I'll be good. I'll be happy. And then they get it. And it lasts for a little bit of time. And then you're right back needing something else to get that high, that happiness high. Because happiness is like any other emotion. It's fleeting. It comes and it goes. Anger comes and goes. Frustration comes and goes. All of these things come and go. So, but one thing I've found that's consistent for me is peace and joy, like having that, because I feel like that's like an internal thing with your spirit. Yeah,
it comes from within. So when you're fulfilled on the inside, it comes outward.
Tell me, right, and this is for the listeners too, identify one choice you can make today that honors your healing, even if no one else understands it, right? Can you think of something that you've done recently that honored your healing and no one understood it but you?
Yes, I would say that me just acknowledging my progress, and only me and only you know like how far you've come. Like you don't know, not you don't know, but the people around you in your life like don't know your darkest moments. So only you can say like, you know what, I remember when, because someone might be looking from the outside and say like, oh, you're still struggling with this, like this, you should have gotten over it. Like you say, you should have moved on, but they don't know that your today is better than your yesterday. So like looking at it and saying like, you know what, I'm able to acknowledge the amount of progress I made, no matter what anyone else looks at and might see that I might still have my bad moments. That doesn't mean that I have not made progress, because you can't take that progress away from me. So no matter how hard that day might be or that moment might be, I know that I have made progress and that can never be taken away from me. So I feel like that would be it. Yeah.
Owning your small wins. Being able to recognize the simple things of just, getting up and putting your best foot forward on a day that's hard. Maybe before you didn't get dressed and you didn't put on your lipstick and you stayed in pajamas all day. Like those small wins matter. And I think, again, encouraging yourself consistently is a bet on self move. So let's think about, we already talked about this, but for the listeners, who in your life makes you feel safe and seen? And then how can you intentionally connect with them this week? Again, who in your life makes you feel safe and seen, and how can you intentionally connect with them this week? Because support systems matter, people. All you beautiful listeners out there, there are certain people in your life that try to pour into you, try to spend time with you, try to look out for you. And sometimes you neglect them because you're looking for it from a particular person, place, or thing. And you don't realize you have people that are ready to pour into you and to support you and help you. But you want it from one particular space. And I want to invite you to open up your perspective that God comes in mysterious ways. Your blessings come in mysterious ways. It don't always show up the way you want it to look. Okay, guys? Okay. So let's go to my final. And we talked a little bit about this when we were offline, but the final piece to all of this is Coach's Corner. It's our time to sort of reflect on this conversation, because believe it or not, we got like 4 minutes left, right?
Oh, wow.
I know.
It flew by.
It does. It flies by. So let's talk about it. Like the moment that we sort of sit and we sort of think about what are some moments or takeaways from this conversation that we want to sort of allow people to carry forward in their journey of grace, growth, and grief. Because grief is going to keep coming, y'all. Oh, I wish I could tell you only going to experience once, but it's not true. It's going to keep coming and keep showing up until you get the tools, right, to really navigate it. So what's the takeaway for you? And then I'm going to close it out with my Coach's Corner, because I'm going to drop some nuggets, some jewels, some bet on self.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, being kind to yourself is a big one. We see that all the time. Be kind, be kind. But I feel like being kind to yourself, being kind to others is huge. And I feel like that's what the world is missing. Like the world would be a better place if people treat others the way they would want to be treated and just be kind, give that love and compassion the same way you want to be, be treated. It just will make the world a better place. It will make you a happier person. It will attract that happiness into your life, give you more fulfillment and joy. And so, I feel like being kind, giving yourself like love, just feeding yourself love. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have to agree. We never know the struggles that people are dealing with. Some people carry it well, although it's heavy. Mm-hmm. And you can, just a little bit of kindness goes a long way. A little bit of, fall back, check in on folks, stop taking everything personal, assume good intentions, right? Mm-hmm. So think about this, guys. Grief isn't a detour from life. It is part of the road. Bet on self means betting that your healing is worth the effort. Say that again. Bet on self means that you're betting on your healing being worth your effort. Your voice matters. Your story has value, even in its most painful chapters. You are more than your loss. You are thriving through it. And you can live a full, joyous life while carrying what you've lost. One intentional choice at a time. So you guys know, follow the Urban Heat 981fm.com. You can go ahead and make sure you have our website bookmarked. Make sure you following us on iHeartRadio. Shout out to everybody on Instagram, Facebook. Shout out to LaDonna, Shalir. Thank you so much for tuning in. Your sisters have been on here. Miss Janetta, we appreciate you. Everybody on Instagram, I see y'all. It's a long list of y'all, but I see y'all over there. What's going on Instagram? And they give us the smallest little icons. So Coach is blind with these glasses on. I still can't see. So next week on Conversations with Coach La, we are going to be talking about healing through the arts. I'm going to have author and spoken word artist Risa Wright, and also R&B sensation, our very own Ray Rail, will be here to talk about healing through art. So see y'all next week. Make sure y'all stay tuned, because we're going to be listening to some soul jams, and see y'all next week on the virtual couch.
Heat 981fm.com and iHeart Station.
Jam.
See y'all later.
Shout out to Coach
Kicking
La.
it with Coach LA, it's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m.